So there was about 30 million voting age black Americans, and 92% of them who voted pulled the lever for Jim Crow Joe in 2020. But a new Quinnipiac poll put black support for the president at 58%, with 20% strongly disapproving of his leadership. I will be one of the 20%. They say black communities, they say across the nation beset by social ills, have been run almost exclusively by the Democrats for decades. Rising crime, failed schools, illegal immigration, and anger over mandates are all among issues forcing the constituency to reject the Democrat Communist Party, as said political observers said. It says so too is the failure of the Biden administration to live up to its campaign promises, which is 100%. We know that they didn't do anything for black people, not a thing. So what happens is, because you're going to have these Democrat Communist Party trolls coming in and saying he did do something for black people. Hey, the child tax credit, that's not for black people, that was for everybody. Stimulus checks, that wasn't for black people, that was for everybody. We said specifically for black people, like he done for the Asians, like he done for the Ukrainians, like he's done for the Afghanistan people, right? Like he's done for illegal immigrants, that sort of thing. Like he's done for the LGBT. He did something specifically for them. And black people went out and vote because they needed something specifically for us. And he did not honor any of that. So anytime they come to you, ladies and gentlemen, telling you about child tax credit and stimulus, they say that's for everybody, not for black people. You can't tell me about everybody things. Well, he signed the infrastructure bill. Infrastructure is part of what the government should be doing. Doing the roads, the bridges, the pipes, for water, things like that. That's what government's supposed to do. That's why we pay taxes. Okay? Everybody benefits from that. Now, they say crime continues to ravage. It said all over America, in almost all American cities. They say wildly out of proportion. Okay? Now, they say black Americans were the victims, they say, of 65% of all NYC murders in 2020. They say, according to NYPD data, they say despite representing just 20%, they say, of the population, black students, meanwhile, have underperformed their peers for decades in what school chancellor David Banks called an outrageous failure of public education, which I'm not a fan of the public school system at all. Y'all know that. I'm a fan of homeschooling. And if not homeschool, going to a good private school, because our children's education is very important. And we know in this country, they have dumbed down the population, because a dumbed down population is easier to control than a learned population. Case in point, look at our community. Look at it. You ask them something politically, huh? Well, they did do something. What'd they do? I don't know. But it's not their fault to a point, because they've never been trained to research anything. You know what I'm saying? They've been trained to speak and repeat a narrative, but they've never been trained to know. Now, say the burden of illegal immigration is also unfairly foisted, upon black American communities. Pundits say, illegals captured at the border and then secretly flown into the New York area by the Biden administration are not placed in, a cushy Cobble Hill or the Upper East Side. They're dumped instead on poor, mostly black neighborhoods and schools. They say Democrat insiders agree. They say black voters are losing confidence in the party's leadership. Now, they said also that the Asian community came out strongly in November, and they came out and voted Republican, according to a city council newcomer, Anna Vernikov. That's a Republican out of Brooklyn. Now, she's saying that the Asians came out and vote Republican, but the Democrats gave them a hate crime bill. You understand? But black people come out in mass to vote for the Democrat Party. And what do black people get? Nothing. Not a freaking thing. Then now we got to deal with this disinformation governance board that we have to deal with by the Democrat Communist Party, that's modeling themselves after the Chinese Communist Party in China. The censorship of the internet, the censorship of what apps you can download, what TV shows you can watch, what movies. I mean, trust me, what China is doing is really what they want to do at this point. I say black Americans, they are also speaking, they say, with their feet. They say fleeing Democrat-controlled cities. They say by the millions and decades. They say for safer suburbs or southern states, they both of which are less likely to suffer the social ills of one-party Democrat rules. The black population in New York declined from 2.1 million in 2000 to 1.9 million in 2020, according to the U.S. Census. They say, the black population nationwide surged dramatically from 36 million to 47 million over the same period. Yes, I've been told y'all, if you're going to live in America, come to the southern states. I've been saying that. Cost of living is a lot cheaper, for sure. Definitely. More of your people is in the southern states. If something go down, you got a lot more people that can get on your team. Some of you are in certain states, there's not much of a black population, and politically you will suffer because of it. Let's just call it what it is. Now, I'm happy about the California Reparations Commission, what they're trying to do, but black people don't have even the numbers in California, because we know they're systemically trying to push out black people. Let's call it what it is. And I've been saying a long time ago, look, California is done. It is done. Black people need to get out of California and head to the South. And a lot of you have. A lot of you brothers and sisters have left California, and some of you right now are in Texas. Some of you are, in Georgia. Some of you are in Florida. Some of you are, places like, North Carolina or South Carolina. Some of you have went to many, different cities that black people are doing well in. And you loving it, especially in Texas. You loving not having a state tax. You're loving that you got a little bit more freedoms than California. So, hey, I always say welcome. Everybody need to come. All black people need to go ahead on and make a mass migration to the South. If you're going to live in the U.S., that's the only thing that I say about that. Now, my position about being here, but if you're going to be here, be in the South. Be in the South. But also, we need to be strategic in trying to get in certain cities and areas and start getting involved with the politics so we can run the cities, right? Because we need to run these cities. I'm not saying bring your California politics to Texas. That's something we don't want. Keep that California mess over there. We don't need it because it's not working for y'all. So for sure, we don't want it here. But as a community, we need to get together and, like I say, get involved with the city council, the school board, county commissioner. We need to be the judges. We need to be the sheriff. We need to be the mayor. We need to get involved in all those areas, like a takeover, and let the best of the black community come in and just strategically try to take over certain areas, and that way we can run it the way we choose to run it. Because that's what other groups do. They move to an area and then they get involved in the politics and they take that over. Black folks need to do that and stop always, when we talk about politics, I always said your local politics is way more important than that federal election, because your local politics is going to affect you more. But black people, they pissed off, and rightfully so. But I always said, let's see what happens in November. Let's see. Now we know the Democrat Communist Party is trying their best to get that narrative back. They said it's so dangerous. Because I got a podcast I'm gonna cover about that, about how they just losing their mind about not having control of the narrative. They feel like the world's gonna end. But when black people could think for themselves and pay attention to what's going on, look at the inflation that's hurting you. Look at these high food prices. Okay, I talked about this the other day. A 32 count of eggs, used to be $3. You know what I'm saying? Now you're freaking paying almost $10 for it. It's crazy. It is crazy. You look at the gas prices. Black people are suffering with all of this more than any other group. And it's the fault of the policies of the Democrat Communist Party. It is. So yes, black people are very, very dissatisfied. Even some of the rank and file black folk who love the Democrat Party are pissed off, and rightfully so. But you got to think with your feet. You definitely got to think with your feet, and don't give your vote to the Democrat Communist Party. It's just that simple. But y'all let me know in the comments what you think about, the Democrat Communist Party and their bleeding support from the black community. They don't know what to do, and don't give them no ideas, because they want to fix something that done something for black folks a long time ago.